All right, yeah, so once again, I am Andrew King, the editor-in-chief of Canadian Musician. Joining me for the session this evening is Teresa Cirillo, vocal coach, Canada's foremost vocal coach, and the owner of Studio E Music and Arts, the author of the Vocal Compass, from which we'll be taking a lot of content for this presentation. Yeah, Teresa's got quite the decorated career. Again, you can find out more here. You can find out more at thevocalcompass.com. You can find out by throwing her name into Google. She's involved with the SHOT in the KW area, and yeah, active role at CMW, Canadian Music Week 2019. It was great seeing her out for that. I guess I've talked about you enough, Teresa. Fill us in. How are you keeping? What's keeping you busy?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight, Andrew. It's been wonderful to be able to, write columns for the magazine and to be here to share whatever I can share to help anybody that needs some help vocally. Nothing. It's been crazy between CMW and the SHOT. I'm promoted to creative director for the SHOT this year, and we're in the middle of our season. So we're doing live auditions on Saturday, and I'm running the studio, and of course still teaching. It's wonderful. I mean, I feel blessed, and I'm just really happy to be able to share it and to help anybody that needs help. So.
Oh, which is exactly what we're here for, and again, thrilled to have you. Now, we are talking tonight about keeping your voice in top shape. So we're going to be sharing some care tips, vocal care, whole body care, and mental care as well. And we'll talk about how all of these things come together and work in harmony to keep your voice at its best. But before we jump into that, I just want to give you a really quick, kind of as an aside, but a bit of a breakdown as to the concept behind the Vocal Compass, the book, the program. What we've got here, quite figurative, I suppose, the 4 points on the quote-unquote compass that the Vocal Compass addresses. Now, in the middle of it all is pitch, your focal point, singing on key. That is the center. And then, yeah, with each different direction, we've got these 4 components that come together to deliver your singing experience. Resonance, up, north, breath, down, vowel articulation and consonant articulation, east and west, of course. And yeah, if you, again, check out the book, check out the website, thevocalcompass.com, and I'll give you a bit more as to how these things connect. But it's a very comprehensive, very easy to follow program. It'll make a lot more sense when you've got the book in your hand. But here, we're talking about the voice and understanding vocal health. Now that begins with the body. And as Teresa makes very clear in the Vocal Compass, every part of the body is interconnected with every other part of the body, and only when all of those different components are working at their prime are you going to be able to sing at your prime. Teresa, can you tell us a bit more about that idea about interconnectivity between all of the body's organs and systems, and elaborate as to how that comes into play when we try to sing?
Yeah, for sure. Well, firstly, going back to the 4 points and the 4 components, yeah, that would be great, just so that I can give a little bit more insight so that people have more of a visual. If we're looking, so if you have, if you kind of draw a face, the nose so if you're looking at a side profile, the nose would be to your right, and the 4 components are pitch, great, being on key is really important, but more importantly, the way the vocal cords come together and stretch and release. So breath support, pitch, resonance, and articulation are the 4 points. You can head back, Andrew, thanks. Right. To the next one, yeah. So the interconnectivity and harmony of the voice and the body is super important. Really, we're really all interconnected. And honestly, it's the weirdest thing, but digestion affects your voice, your muscle, what's going on with your muscles, if you've worked out that day, if you haven't, if you're fatigued. Everything is attached, including your thought process. And that's the big one. That's the master of all masters. And a lot of people, especially the ones that I teach just from experience, they don't think about what they're thinking and how it interconnects with the actual physical motion of singing. And that's what I'm trying to marry here with the balance thing. Remember that the diaphragm, though we cannot control the membrane itself, we learn to control the intercostal muscles that are attached to the membrane. And that membrane is basically their function that separates the respiratory system and the gastrointestinal system. That diaphragm is that's what it's supposed to do, is separate it. Now, it is a part of the lungs. As it comes down and contracts, the lungs are able to bring in more air, deeper air into the lungs. And we learn to control that by, connecting to that engagement that we want to be able to keep it there as a support system, right? And then in doing that, that's what's going to give you that beautiful foundation, no different than building a house. And of course, it starts with the mind, then it goes into the diaphragm, and then sound comes out. We generate sound through the vocal cords and then into the head and face, using your ears all together, and then allowing the communication with words. Now, we're going to probably get into this a little later, but different issues that come up or arise could possibly not even be connected to the voice, but rather to the body, to the mind. So that's what we're kind of going for today with the interconnectivity. So
bingo. Now, yeah, one of the things that you touch on in the book, and that we can elaborate on a bit, is that, yeah, you are now a yoga teacher as well, and there are a lot of ways that you've discovered that yoga, at least the concepts and principles that you're learning and teaching, apply directly to what we're talking about here with singing and keeping our body in harmony. Can you walk us through a few of those? And I've got some of the specifics.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know, yoga is actually quite popular right now. A lot of people use it for, a lot of people go to power yoga for cardio and muscle building. Some people use it for relaxation and restoration. Some people use it as just to connect with themselves. And that really is what yoga is. The word yoga means intimacy and intimacy with oneself. So being able to connect with yourself and through asana, which is breath and movement, is what you want. So be able to breathe in order to move in a certain way. That's the first part. Then you've got your balance, and of course you guys all know about the legendary tree pose. Everybody tries to stand on one foot and tries to balance, and that is really parallel with breath and resonance connection, being it vertical, and then the articulation being it horizontal. So, I mean, you can always experiment with it. You can stand up on 2 feet, standing, lift one leg and see how wobbly you are. But as soon as you push down on the foot that's on the ground and lift your head, you'll feel a sudden stability. And that's no different than in yoga, where when we're flowing, we root to rise. So we push down into the ground in order to rise up. And there were several times just practicing. I've been practicing yoga for a long time. But, when I was writing the book, I kept finding all of these parallels and thinking, hey, wait a second, that's like my compass. What's going on? And sometimes I couldn't even concentrate through my classes because there was just so many similarities. Mobility and flexibility. Of course, when you're taking vocal lessons and you're training your instrument, you're looking for mobility and flexibility. What you're essentially doing is conditioning the muscles, the neck, the face, the shoulders, not to interfere with the movement of the vocal cords or the cricothyroid or retinoids, which are the muscles that stretch and release your vocal cords, and conditioning them in a way where it's controlled or led by your breath, and it's just so parallel. So yoga for me really solidified the amount of balance that's needed in the vocal mechanism, just as so in the human body when you're doing an exercise. Not even just yoga. I mean, it was yoga for me, but even in like weightlifting, when you're doing deadlifts and the way you're holding and rebalancing your weight depending on how many pounds your bar is, just everything, just the human body and the physiology of it altogether is just so interconnected. Just for me, and the way I teach is just from yoga. And it's just helped me, and it's helped so many others. So very cool.
Yeah, thank you folks for the feedback. There's some great questions in the queue.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, but I've also been told my level was a bit hot. Hopefully that's a bit better balanced now. Someone can let me know. There's also someone saying that they're not getting audio, but
oh no,
got to be an isolated incident, because got a few dozen others that, well, in some cases are getting a bit hot.
Maybe they can go off and come back on.
Back on, yeah.
Anyway,
thank you for the feedback. Keep coming. And we'll move on here. So yeah, the body, now I guess the core of it, the voice. In a moment, just to keep you prepped, we'll be talking about the mind and how your mental state affects the first two. But yeah, let's jump into the voice specifically and begin with making sure, like we were just talking about, that everything is in alignment and proper.
Yeah, perfect. So when we talk about alignment, when you're looking at your body, or you're thinking about your body, you're thinking posture. Of course, everybody thinks posture when it comes to alignment. And sometimes, I mean, you've probably heard people say, oh, you know, one of my legs is, you know, taller than the other, or my hips are out of alignment, or my back's out of alignment, my shoulder, my neck. You wake up sometimes with a kink in your neck, it's out of alignment. You go to the chiropractor, your massage therapist, or the osteopath, or wherever you go and get taken care of, and you're back. It's all gone. But it takes a lot longer than that. I mean, it takes stability in your soul. Sometimes, well, most of the time, a lot of the times when you have an injury, either to a knee or to a hip or to an arm, generally speaking, it's probably because of the misalignment of your body, or even maybe a lack of conditioning in the muscle. And sometimes, and that's primarily why people with alignment issues or physical issues go to physiotherapists. Their job is to strengthen the muscles around your joints, or your knee, elbow, anything that's an issue. And that's how we look at it in the body. When we look at it as in the voice, you're looking at the exact same thing. Now, if we think about planes, P-L-A-N-E-S, so the plane of the body, we have a vertical plane, we have a horizontal plane. We can dissect our bodies in many ways, and if we do the same thing with our vocal mechanism, we can see that when you're singing, you really have to, being able to connect and engage your diaphragm to be able to support it is no different than putting and placing 2 feet on the ground and lifting into resonance, or where your actual singing voice is vibrating in the space in your head, is going to give you that top of the vertical connection. So your breath, which is south, and your resonance, which is north. And if you think about breath, or your feet for your singing voice, and your resonance is your head. So the alignment is super important in that respect. And when something's out of balance, when you're singing, chances are, vertically anyways, and when we talk about vertical alignment and your voice and things that are going wrong in that area, generally it would be like running out of air, raspiness, you know, not being able to hit notes properly, or you know, you're flat, or even sharp, since you're pushing and you don't have control of your diaphragm. And So being able to balance that connection vertically is super important, and that's the same way you would balance your human body, standing up straight and having a really great posture and the muscles to support your posture, and having the muscles to support your vocal mechanism. So being able to massage out the neck muscles so that it can support the larynx in your neck. So that sort of thing. So we've touched upon vertical alignment. The horizontal alignment would be the articulation, your text, your communication, the way you communicate with your audience when you're singing. The context of what you are singing is super important. So singing forward is not going to give you an alignment. Singing in a horizontal alignment means that, let's draw a stick sideways coming out of the back of your head and one coming out of the front of your face where your nose is. If all of the energy is placed at the front of your face, like as we say in the mask, and I'm not saying it's incorrect, there's just a proper way to align to get to that, because it's super important to know where the mask is and how to align yourself to get there. But let's just take it for visual, for just the visual aspect of it. If you can draw, just kind of draw a stick from your nose all the way to the back of your head, if you're pushing forward, that may mean that your tongue is pulling forward, and then your larynx is pulling forward, and your vowels aren't sitting in that pure vowel space at the back of your throat. And that's going to cause a misalignment. And the same thing, and that's no different than hunching over and walking. You're going to eventually have some muscles that are extended or flexed in the back that are going to be rubbing up against each other, or maybe even causing some inflammation in the joints in your back. It's no different than your voice. If you're going to sing forward, you're going to cause some issues in the vertical alignment. So being able to align both north, south, east, and west is going to give your body ease and allow you to sing easier and healthier. No different than if you were to align your body when you're walking or running or doing any sports, and how well your body would react to that. It's just ease. You're looking for ease. So I hope that helps.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of information there.
Yeah, no, but I'm glad we're setting up the foundation here because, and I should have mentioned at the outset, we're going to go through some of these principles, and then after our first question period, we're going to get into the real practical stuff. We've got a list of various issues that you might be encountering, from singing off pitch to, as a few people are asking about, raspy vocals, voice cracking, etc. Once we get the foundation set here, we can walk through and talk about how to address or prevent those various issues. So that's coming up shortly. But as we keep rolling here, and I guess this one, hydration. We could probably talk for an hour about the importance of hydration for not just physical health. But yeah, kind of goes without saying, I suppose, being well rested and hydrated ahead of singing. But still, can you elaborate a bit? Just give us an idea.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Yeah. Some of you may not perform. Some of you may perform. Some of you may perform twice a week, 5 days a week, every day of the week. I know me. I've had 3 gigs in the last 5 days. I've also taught for 3 days out of those 5 days, and not to mention my whole life that's attached to that. I have to really pay attention to rest. I know that if I don't get 8 hours of rest, I can't function well during the day. If my body doesn't function well, my voice is not going to function well. And so you have to really pay attention to that. But not only pay attention to, let's say if you have a gig on Saturday, all of those folks that are auditioning live in Toronto on Saturday, they're probably trying to rest and trying to drink, and it doesn't stop at the performance. You have to restore your body after. Make sure you take a rest day after your gigs. It's super important. Restoring is just as important as preparing. And so staying rested, hydration. Anybody that knows me or anybody that's heard me speak and has had sessions or lessons with me or read my book know that I'm a huge stickler on hydration. The thing with hydration, I'm just going to touch upon it, is that you have to be careful with what you're hydrating with. If you're drinking cold water, your body is going to have to work extra hard to absorb that water, because our bodies sit at 37.5 degrees Celsius or 98.5 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're drinking anything different than that temperature, your body's going to have to work harder to absorb it. Sometimes the body will be like, I don't know this temperature, I don't care, you're going to bring it in and you're going to void it right back out. So you really want to be able to drink water that your body's going to feel comfortable with the temperature, and that's how you're going to hydrate. So remember that when you drink, the liquid doesn't actually go into the larynx, because then you will choke. It actually goes into the esophagus and then into your body where it needs to be. And always, they say to drink half of your body weight in ounces. I say double it, especially if you're singing. It takes a lot of effort to do a set, a 45-minute set. Actually, I can use this as an example. I'm doing a Liza Minnelli tribute band, a tribute with a dance company, and I've already done 5 shows. And I think I drink 2.5 bottles, probably almost 3 bottles. Let's just say like the regular Nestle bottles, before I go on. And when I finish, it's a 13-minute performance. When I'm done, I have to drink another 2 bottles. And then I don't use the restroom for like 2 hours. My body is absorbing it and trying to stay hydrated. So hydration is super, super important. Did you want me to keep going with the healthy diet, Andrew? Or?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Don't need me.
Okay, awesome. So a healthy diet is a healthy voice as well. I'm going to ask this as a rhetorical question. You guys can all even message Andrew, and then he'll share the analytics with me. But I find that musicians have a very high stress rate, because we're bearing all and being very vulnerable on stage with our talents, and therefore can sometimes be susceptible to like acid reflux or stomach and digestional issues. So this is really super important for us to take into consideration. Really understand how your body reacts with certain foods. There are certain foods that are inflammatory when you're eating. So, we know that red meats are inflammatory. They've proven that study over and over again. And so I'm not just saying that because I'm a vegetarian, because my whole family, my 3 kids and my husband, they love meat. I cook it for them all the time. I have absolutely no problem with the food chain, but I do choose to eat a vegan diet myself. So for me, inflammation of red meat, if you could possibly. And also some inflammatory foods that I've been taught about are, tomatoes, eggplants, regular potatoes. And I say regular potatoes. They say that russet potatoes are non-inflammatory, but the rest of the potato family are. So tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants. What else?
Gluten?
There's some inflammatory foods. Gluten, of course. Gluten and dairy, of course.
Crowdsource that one.
And now, if you're not celiac or have a gluten intolerance, they say not to indulge in a gluten-free diet. There are different kind of gluten-free foods that can be inflammatory as well. So if you do want to stay with gluten, try to choose from a whole food diet, meaning nothing processed. So gluten-free doesn't mean you buy gluten-free, Fig Newtons. They're probably just as bad as the regular ones. But as a treat, of course. But I'm going to say it. Moderation is key as well, right? If you're going to indulge. Set a celebrate it and indulge, that's fine. But overall, generally, you want to be able to eat healthy. Sugars and dairy, I stay away from sugar, period. Dairy causes mucus. The body does not recognize dairy as a food that gives us supplements. It does recognize what, the minerals and vitamins inside of it, but it doesn't actually recognize the enzymes that come into, cheese. And I have to admit, I am a cheese lover. I don't know how I stay away from cheese, but for those of you who are eating cheese, beware that it does cause mucus. And if you're susceptible to having mucus and throat clearing is an issue for you, stay away from that and sugars. I did have a student come in with a Gatorade the other day, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I'm not knocking Gatorade. It's got electrolytes in it. By all means, have it when you need it, but not before singing. And eating before singing, I think this is like a super, I don't know, it's like a personal thing. Some people need to eat before they sing. I would say have a light meal 2 hours before, and then make sure that you're snacking in between your sets. Nothing too heavy. And then the big guns are alcohol, caffeine, and any substance I'm going to add in there. Alcohol dehydrates your body. So if you're drinking, there's no point in drinking if you're drinking alcohol. Drinking water is what I meant. So if you're trying to drink water to stay hydrated and you're drinking alcohol at the same time, you're kind of canceling it out. Alcohol will dehydrate your body so quickly. The high sugar content in alcohol is also probably an issue for those of you with the high mucus content in your throats. And then caffeine as well. Caffeine not only will, affect the nervous system. If you're already nervous, stay away from caffeine. And it's also a diuretic, so it also dehydrates your body. So if you want your body in a really great state, eat whole foods. Try to drink everything you're drinking at a room temperature, and eat light meals before and after. Be sure to keep eating. I know a lot of people that don't eat at all on performance day, and you are going to get hit hard the next day or the day after that, because your body needs to refuel. You using your voice is no different than, somebody playing a good game of basketball. They're using their muscles, and we need to replenish and feed those muscles. So healthy diet and healthy voice are really important.
Well, and the third part of that is the mind. And yeah, I guess we're zooming out a bit more macro level here. Healthy mind, healthy voice, pretty straightforward. But yeah, tell us a bit about what you mean in terms of how power of thought and your mental affirmations can affect what you are trying to do.
Well, this is a heavy one. This is a really, really heavy topic. A lot of people love to talk about their mental health, and a lot of people hate talking mental health. I'm going to dive a little bit of a personal history for myself, just so that you guys are aware. I've dealt with mental issues since I was about 16, 17, just growing up and having, I am a creative mind and an artist. I've been singing since I was about 3 years old, and I've always had issues, and up until I had my children, where I suffered from postpartum psychosis, depression, and being taken care of that way. And then just recently having lost a lot of family members to really horrible illnesses, and then having to have surgery myself, and going through a little bit of some anxiety and depression myself. I'm on the front line here with mental issues and understanding vocal health and the mind. So I've learned firsthand. I still see doctors. So I think I'm going to say that right now. as a voice coach and having somebody that comes into my room that needs a little bit of help, the first thing I will say is make sure you have a good team around you. Don't keep it to yourself. Let it out. Speak to somebody. It doesn't matter who, anyone that will listen, and allow yourself to be open to it. And you're not alone. Just talk about it. So as we know, a healthy mind equals a healthy voice, because when you're in the right state of mind, you can accomplish anything. Not just to sing your best, but just to be the best person you can be. What does that mean? What does a healthy mind look like? Someone that is grounded, feels confident, someone that's happy with where they are at the moment, that knows how hard they've worked to get to where they need to be, and also accepting how hard they need to work to get where they want to be. So somebody that's just living in the moment, in the here and now. And really, all it is really just accepting who you are and where you're at this point of time. Just the now, being okay with who you are now. And if you are powerful, and I know you are powerful, if you're powerful enough to be able to do that and get there, then you will accomplish anything, including hitting high notes and performing for thousands of people, selling out shows, singing with most vulnerable capability of communication. And you'll also allow yourself to be a great influence to others as well. And because I this is really important as a singer, I understand that we're looked up to, right? So people look at us and go, wow, like, how do you do that? And we want to be really great examples. And so knowing that our thoughts are at rest with who we are and what we're doing is super important, because people feel that energy. The power of thoughts is super, super important. You are what you think. And as my great friend David James says, thoughts become things, and it's true. Thoughts do become things. What you're thinking will manifest. You will attract it. If you think you suck, you are going to suck. And unfortunately, our mind is that powerful, because our body follows what our mind is our generator. That's where all your physical instruction comes from, is your mind. And so if you're thinking, oh, I'm not gonna hit this note, I'm not gonna hit that note, I'm not gonna hit it, and you go for it, and it's like, oh, I didn't hit the note. Well, of course you didn't hit the note. You just told yourself you're gonna hit it. So being positive is super important. And positivity is super, super difficult. We live in a negative world. It is so easy to be negative, because it's so easy to pick out the things we don't like, because we want to change it. And therefore, being positive is really difficult. We look at society and think, wow, that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong. How about we look at society and go, wow, this is right, this is right, this is right. A lot of things would change if we did that. And including the way you look at your voice. If you were to sit there and go, wow, I have a really great tone, I really like my tone, all of a sudden your tone is just going to increase. There's room for improvement. You're saying to the universe, thank you, I know that I've been blessed with this, I've worked hard for it, I'm here, now I'm ready for more. Same thing with, I'm going to hit this note. I'm going to hit it because I am secure and I know exactly how my voice works. I know what my body needs to do in order to get to this. I trust myself. I'm going to do it. You will do it. You will definitely do it. Affirmation, some of the affirmations. Sorry, what is that, Andrew?
I'm feeling great now listening to this.
Are you feeling good?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. It's powerful. Positivity is hard. It's one of the most difficult things, but it's powerful. And I am going to speak to ego here, because ego, oh, it's, yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard to hear that you're not good, or sometimes it's hard to hear no, the word no, and sometimes, all the time, it's hard to hear it. But if you take that as an opportunity to grow, it doesn't have to be negative. But also, it can go the opposite way. It's like, oh my gosh, I cannot admit that I'm a mink. Somebody will think I'm cocky, or somebody won't like me because they think I'm not humble, or whatnot. And it goes the other opposite way. How many of you are really afraid to be really good because of what people will say or think about you? You know what? I'm going to say this. What other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Your opinion of you is what your business is. And you can't judge yourself on what other people say. If you have worked your butt off to get to a voice that you wanted, and you have accomplished that, celebrate it. Celebrate it. When somebody says, oh man, you rock that set, you sound phenomenal, you look that person in the eye and say, you know what, thanks man, like I've been working really, really hard, and I really appreciate the fact that you said that, because you know that makes me feel so good. I really appreciate that. Accept it. It does wonders to your body. It just makes your body sit in such a better place. Affirmations are amazing. Some affirmations that I like to are actually, I probably repeat them in my mind thousands of times a day, is I am calm. I am calm. I am calm. I just keep thinking I am calm. I am anything you want to be. I am strong. I am healthy. I am strong. I am healthy. I am worthy. I am strong. I'm healthy. I'm calm. Anything, could be anything. Write it on your phones. Make it your screensaver. Make it your lock screen. I am. That's your thought. That's the power. The power, and that goes into the power of meditation. I've been trying to master meditation for a long time. I haven't even gotten close. Even just finding 2 minutes to sit down and breathe is super important. But meditation really is giving your mind a break consciously. And it is one of the most difficult things that I have ever tried to dive into. It's just so difficult. But being able to meditate allows your body to, anytime you're at rest, anytime you're resting, your body's healing. So meditation is basically rest for the mind, where it can heal and really flourish anything you want. You can meditate on, and by the way, prayer is meditation as well. So if you're praying, that's also meditating. And affirmations are meditation, and thinking positive thoughts are meditation. So you're probably already doing that. And there's so many great resources for meditation. Anybody that has an Apple Watch, you probably know of the breath app, that sometimes it'll go, hey, you need to take a breath. And then it just starts to flower and shake your arm, and you're like, oh, you have to breathe. It's meditation. So yeah, you can try that out, and you take steps. Having the power of thoughts and affirmations and the power of meditation, understanding your vocal health through the mind will allow you to have a more powerful voice, period. Excellent.
I am realizing we've got some great questions here. A lot of them are going to be addressed in the second half here. So we'll gloss over those for now, and then we'll bang through the troubleshooting. And if there's anything additional beyond that, we'll get to it in the second round. For this one, and I know the answer because I read the Vocal Compass. If you are not a big fan of water, or just don't you see yourself putting down many ounces of water in a day, is there anything else that can hydrate, sate thirst, and not introduce sugars and other things in your body that counterproductive?
You know what? I know there's a lot of people that don't like water, and that's cool. Like, that's cool. There's a lot of things you can have. I mean, there are fruits that have really high water content, but be sure to know when you're ingesting your fruit. You should really only ingest fruit when you're on an empty stomach, because fruit takes on average about 30 seconds to digest. And if you have food there already digesting and you're having fruit, it's going to try to push things out, and your body will start to lag at digestion because it's like be confused. So, watermelons got really high content. A lot of vegetables have a lot of high content of water. So eating vegetables and fruits is really a great way of hydrating as well. Water, teas. Teas are great. Try not to drink hot teas. You don't want to burn yourself, first of all. And, peppermint tea is great. Nothing with caffeine, of course. What else? I think a lot of people do like NRC drinks. If you've ever seen the packets, or some of them, I think there's tablets as well. They're like electrolyte drinks, and maybe you can add some flavor to your water. And I think those don't have much sugar in them, and they have a lot of vitamin B's and vitamins and pantothenic acid. And there's a lot of really great minerals and vitamins that you can have in NRC and then the Noon tablets. But something like that's like an energy drink packet that you can put into your water, just to give it some flavor. Put some fruit and vegetables in your water. I see a lot of people walking around like cucumbers. Try to stay away from lemon. Lemon is acidic, and it also is a dehydrator as well. I know a lot of people just love to drink lemon water, and I don't advise it for singers at all. Also, it could cause erosion on your teeth as well. And if you cause erosion on your teeth and you're a singer, when you take a breath, that's gonna zing. So that's super important. What else? Of course, decaffeinated beverages are really, really good. And then also, instead of gulping water or like feeling like you have to drink a ton of it, just sip on it. Like, you can just sip on it. Sipping on it is probably the best thing for you anyways, not gulping it. So, be creative and see what you can come up with your water. And, check out those NRC or Noon. I think they're called Noon tablets. I've seen them at different grocery stores. And then just putting the whole foods in it, like cucumber and watermelon and strawberries, and try to make it as yummy as you possibly can. Now, in terms of like sweetening the water, because a lot of people like the sweet stuff, right? You can look at agave syrup or like a honey. That's probably a really great sweetener for your hydration. And I know xylitol's out right now, or stevia, not refined sugar. You don't want refined sugar, because that's inflammatory. And just anything as natural as you possibly can get, right? So good luck, and I hope you learn to love water, because it is the element of life. So.
Well, answered a couple of other questions in there. There you go, Vanessa, about citrus. And to John, if you are registered, which obviously you are, a link to a recording will be circulating in the next 24 hours. So yes, you can take your daughter to dance. Here we go. Teresa, I'm going to throw the challenge out. We're about 10 minutes shy of the hour here. We've got 10 troubleshooting issues to go through.
Ooh, let's do it.
Can we do 60 seconds a pop? I'll try to keep you on it. And of course, if we can't, and it's important info, we can stretch the rules. But all right, okay. Challenge here. So, all right. Troubleshooting issues. Having trouble staying off pitch, or staying on pitch.
Okay, so singing off key could be several different things. Number one, it could be just that you can't hear the pitch, and ear training is a must. Find a music professional that can ear train you. But if you can sing, you're not tone deaf, or you don't have trouble with being and staying on key, and you don't, and you have tension, the tension usually is the issue with singing off key or off pitch. A lot of people have tongue tension. facial muscle tension, shoulder tension, tightening. So if you think about the compass and the focal point, if you can imagine this, the focal point being a sun and its rays pushing the energy out, right? That's what you want. You want the energy moving away from your body rather than inside. You think of the sun's rays going inside the sun would implode, and that's what you're doing when you're tightening everything or you're using any sort of tension in your head, neck, shoulders, you're imploding. And that's what's happening when you're singing off key. And so technically what's happening is the vocal cords are not able to stretch and shrink to the frequency or the vibration of the frequency that it's needed to make that sound. Oh, that was good. Was that under 60? Whoop, whoop.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Nasally sound, I guess when you're not sick like me. How do we avoid that?
Yeah. Well, I think I touched upon this a little earlier. If you're thinking a horizontal plane, like a horizontal line, and you're singing forward into your nose, like in squishing like this, the thing is you have to move the sound away from the nose. So if you can visually imagine the sound traveling a little further back into your face and your head, and allowing your body, you have to really allow your body not to stick the sound forward. A lot of you will stick the sound forward because like there's a space there that you feel like you can control. That's tension. You don't want that. So nasal sound, you're going to head, I guess it would be east at the back of your head. Yeah.
Okay.
Shortness of breath.
Help someone. Yeah, shortness of breath.
Okay, so this is a heavy one. Being able to use your diaphragm properly is a feat. It's a hard thing. Being able to condition the intercostal muscles of muscles, as well as your pelvic floor muscle that holds all the muscles in place. You need to condition that. You need, in order to sing with your diaphragm, you need to condition your muscles to hold your diaphragm so that the air does not get released from the lungs. If I can just give you an analogy that'll help. So think about a sprinter, like a 100-meter sprinter. And think about you racing up against this 100-meter sprinter. And the ref says to you, okay, so you get to run your 100 meters from standing, and your opponent will have sprinter blocks. That's a pretty sufficient, what's the word? It's just not fair. But you wouldn't want to, run from standing. You want the leverage and the momentum from being on those sprinter blocks. So why are you singing without your sprinter block? Your sprinter block is your diaphragm. Is that deep?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Let's pair these ones up.
Okay.
You're going you're going low or you're going high, either having trouble reaching the note or voices cracking when you try.
Yeah. So voices cracking, a little different than hitting higher low notes. Trouble hitting higher low notes just means that your vocal cords are not relaxed enough, and the muscles that are controlling the vocal cords are not conditioned enough to stretch and release them. Whether it be from tension or whether it be from just, the fact that you're not conditioned, that could be it right there. So you need to condition those to be able to do it. In order for you to do it, though, you can condition all you want, but if you're not in balance, it's not going to happen. Voice cracking on high and low notes, really super important to be able to engage the chords with even distribution of energy through the two sets of muscles that are voice and chest voice. And being able to do that while in balance makes it a lot easier, like super, super easy to get done without tension. So really conditioning, doing exercises will allow the high notes to happen. If you're engaged south and north at the same time, you're going to be able to hit higher low notes a little more. Now remember that every action has an opposite reaction. So to hit high note, you have to push down and allow the diaphragm to be that support system. To hit low notes, you have to lift into resonance. So you have to move the energy away from the vocal cords in order for them to work properly. So hitting low, you need to lift. Hitting high, you need to lower. Not the larynx. You're not lowering the larynx. You're lowering the energy. So the energy of your diaphragm being engaged. Voice cracking, again, that is basically the muscles can't withstand the tightening, and then they just collapse, or one set of muscles wins over the other. So again, always looking at the opposite. All right, voice breaking.
Still in the same league, yeah.
Yeah, so voice breaking is the same thing as cracking. Breaking from chest voice to head voice, that's a conditioning of the thyroid and cricoarytenoids, being able for the vocal cords to be able to stretch and come together evenly with the amount of, with as little air as possible. And in doing that, being able, of course, everything I'm saying is a secondary thing to being balanced with your diaphragm, resonance, breath support, the depth support of your articulation and your consonant support of your articulation. So keep that in mind. Vocal fatigue and soreness, you gotta rest. You are going to get tired. People talk and get tired. A lot of air going through the vocal cords is no different than you running like a marathon, and you have to rest and restore. Soreness in the throat, there are so many different variables that this could be from. Soreness could be, you could be sick. You can have a sore throat, you can have tonsillitis or strep, or just like a cold, and you could have soreness. But soreness from vocal fatigue, it just needs to rest. You just need to rest it, and not overindulge and keep singing. And sometimes you have to keep singing. I understand that, and you just got to be. That's all the more reason for you to be in balance. If your voice is too airy, you need to work on the south component, which is your diaphragm. You not holding and controlling the amount of air that goes through the vocal cord doesn't create the airy feeling. A lot of have really dormant diaphragms, and the membrane just doesn't want to respond, or the muscles are too weak. You need to work on that. Really do need to work on that. The voice is too raspy. Again, that's a lot of air going through the vocal cords. Allowing the diaphragm connection to suction, if you will, so that an enormous amount of air doesn't get shot into the cords, really super important. And then frequent loss of voice. Lot of different reasons for this as well. Overuse, reflux, acid reflux, the acids in your voice, laryngitis, edema, which is swelling of the vocal cords from either overuse or a virus, or and then I'm going to go into a little bit more of like a spirituality thing where, speaking your truth, being able to speak your truth for any reason. If you have something to say to somebody and you're not saying it, your throat's going to hurt. So you need to release that. You need to release that. Just kind of delving into a little bit of a spirituality thing there, but loss of voice could be just so many different things. We really have to look at it isolated cases and customized for each student and each person that I teach, really. Okay.
All right. Thank you very, very much. Some questions here we can go through. Jackie, great question, and it's good with you. I want to share this one with Teresa tomorrow when we have a bit more time to come up with a really good response. Craig asks, maybe we can keep it to a trio of tips. How do you prepare your voice before you're performing? Say the 20 minutes before taking the stage.
Okay, so warming up is always a good idea. Stretching and releasing. So lip trills are my favorite. Lip trills are like a huge favorite of mine. Another favorite of mine is stretching the inside membranes and muscles. So going into like an NG sound, like an and then saying something like wow. So stretches a lot and also allows the vocal cords to go up and to stretch horizontally. By the way, your vocal cords sit horizontally in your larynx. So hope you know that. Also, sirens, but remember to not push through too much air for sirens. Really staying quiet and getting into a really great mind space, because we are talking about the mind as well. Positive affirmations, that sort of thing. Get yourself a really great ritual that you do for 10 minutes, 20 minutes before you're performing, and do that all the time. Let it become a ritual for you.
Right on. Great question from Dale. He performs, but it's one of many things he does, and so sometimes it's a few weeks at a time before a music scenario comes back in. Any tips on how people can keep nimble and in good shape, even if they're don't have the opportunity to sing or, I guess, delve into some of those more rigorous exercises?
Yep. Absolutely. So do a set of exercises, even 5 minutes a day. Just sit there and do some lip trills. Just do those. You can do that anywhere. You can be driving your car and do lip trills. You can do tongue conditioning exercises, kind of like an I, allowing the jaw not to move and your tongue. You can just, if you're driving in your car and you have 2 minutes, you can condition even 2 to 5 minutes. It's cool. Like, your body, it's an amazing thing, and it really has a lot of muscle memory in there. And if it doesn't have the memory, it'll just grow pathways to gain more memory. So use that, and continue to do that on a day-to-day basis, and it'll stay nimble. It will support you, especially if you think it will support you.
Interesting one here. Tips for anxiety attacks mid-performance.
Good old anxiety attacks.
Yeah, here, and just to elaborate a bit, confidence as a young performer has been replaced by nerves from life experiences and being out of the game. So now 21
anxiety.
Yeah, older.
Andrew, that's a heavy one. Okay. Anxiety. So a lot of the affirmations will help with anxiety. I mean, all of you know that anxiety comes in different shapes, forms for everybody, where one person would have one symptom, somebody else would have another. So for me, anxiety comes, okay, how does anxiety hit me? So I feel worried and scared, and I get shaky, and I feel like my adrenaline's rushing, and so what you need to do is you have to allow your body to understand that it's not under attack. So if you can get your mind to communicate with your brain, like you communicate with yourself and say, Teresa, I'm okay. You are okay. Your body will stop attacking itself, because an anxiety attack is just that. It's your thoughts attacking your body. So it's your parasympathetic nervous system thinks it needs to fight. It needs to fight. There's nothing to fight. You've chosen to be able to perform. You've chosen to sing. Now you have the control to allow your body to get back into that sympathetic nervous system where you can breathe deeply and say, it's okay. Self-affirmations can alleviate an anxiety attack almost instantly. Deep breathing also helps as well, because it triggers the vagus nerve to allow more oxygen in. And then for me, this is solely for me, it's helped me, is I've come across a homeopathic, I don't even know what to call it, but it's homeopathic, and it's called Cetadil. and it's helped me. I take 2 of those and it just calms me. It is really, it's natural, and you don't need a prescription for it. You can buy it at health food stores. It's a really, really great thing for our just to relax and get back to that really calm state. So that's what's helped me. But really, just allowing your body to know that you don't need to fight and attack yourself. You're not dying. You're good. A lot of self-talk.
Hey, that's great. Thank you a ton. Teresa, thank you to everyone for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah. There's some kind words coming in. I will share these with you. Jackie, we will answer your question. Yeah. Let's see here.
And Andrew, you'll share some of the questions, and maybe I can even, I don't mind emailing you guys. If you have specific questions, you can email me and I can email back or whatnot. So I'd love to stay in touch.
Outstanding. Yeah, okay, there's even some about if you're taking students. We will get to these shortly. Yeah, this is great. Teresa Cirillo, the Vocal Compass, you can grab it right now, musicbooksplus.com. If you use the /webinars and use the coupon code webinars, you'll save some money. Of course, that applies to any title in the library. You can also go to thevocalcompass.com. Remember, teacher certification program, Saturday, July 14th, 9 to 4 at Studio E in the Hamilton area. Again, vocalcompass.com. More information or to register. For the folks that asked, thank you. You will get an email at some point tomorrow with a link to the recording of the webinar that you can take in, share, put on file for the next time that you're going to be taking the stage. And I guess that wraps us up here. We'll be back next month with another session. Byron Pascoe from Edward PC Creative Law joining us, talking about fundamentals of music law for musicians, legal considerations, things you're going to want to know. Even if you're not at that stage yet, you will encounter some of these things soon if you're serious about music. So join us for that, nwcwebinars.com. And yeah, because we can sign off here. Teresa, thank you from me, from everybody else. It's been a treat.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody. And good on you for taking the time to help yourself. This is wonderful. Thanks, Andrew.
Totally. Yeah, we'll catch you next time.